I'm a domestic worker and this is my story. But it's not just my story, it's our story. By sharing my experience with you, I hope that helpers from many different countries can better understand their rights while working here in Hong Kong. My goal is to show that we have options at each stage of the journey, and we can make our own choices. We may come from different countries and at times feel like we're on our own, but know that there are hundreds of thousands of other helpers experiencing similar things. I began my journey through a neighbor who knew someone at an agency who was working in Hong Kong themselves. When she told me that the minimum wage for domestic workers in Hong Kong was 4,520 Hong Kong dollars per month, I thought it'd be a perfect way to provide for my family. The agency helped me gather together the necessary documents. I'll admit I didn't understand everything, but they said it was best to trust them, so I did. Remember, you can request that the agency explains any part of the process at any time. You need to understand the paperwork before you sign it. After signing the documents, they took me for a medical checkup, and then they sent me to the training center. I was there for several weeks, learning how to cook and clean so that my employer would be happy. I was surprised when later they said that the placement fee would cost me my first 6 months' salary. Remember, by law, the placement fee cannot be more than 10% of your first month's salary. If you earn minimum wage, that amounts to 410 Hong Kong dollars. After the training, I got my passport, said goodbye to my family, and began the journey to Hong Kong. When I arrived in Hong Kong, everything was different. The skyscrapers, the language, but I felt safe. At the airport, some volunteers gave me some information about human trafficking, but the agency took it away from me, as well as my passport, as soon as I cleared immigration. Remember, you have the right to keep your passport. It is key to staying in the country and no one should take it from you. When I met my employer for the first time, they seemed friendly, but I quickly realized that things were different from what they had said in our Skype call. I didn't have my own room and was expected to share with the children. I also didn't get my own food, just the leftovers. Often my employer invited her family over, so I ended up cooking and cleaning for many people, which is not what we agreed to in the contract. Remember, you're entitled to your own space, or one that's shared with a child of the same gender or of the opposite gender under the age of 13. It should be as described in the contract, and you should be given 3 meals a day or a food allowance to purchase your own. Remember, if that isn't the case, document your treatment through photos and daily logs, recording how many hours you work, how many hours you're given off, conversations with your employer, and what food they're giving you. This will help you provide evidence of violations of your contract. Because I shared a room with the children, I was the one who comforted them at night. It was strange to be spending more time with someone else's children than my own. I also had little time to myself, to call my own family, or to rest. It was the same on Sundays, which was supposed to be my day off. My employer often asked me to make breakfast or dinner, so I ended up only getting the afternoon off. Remember, you are required by law to have 24 consecutive hours off per week. Alternatively, you are entitled to overtime pay. You are also legally required to have all statutory holidays off and paid annual leave, which starts at 7 days per year and increases the longer you work for the same employer. My employer was usually good and treated me well, but there were times when she lost her temper and shouted at me, and even a few occasions when she hurt me. But she always apologized and said it wouldn't happen again. Because I still had 6 months in my contract, I didn't want to make things complicated by reporting her. I knew the only times I could change contract within my 2-year stay was if the employer couldn't pay me, if they passed away, or if I could prove in court that I'd been abused. So I never bothered going to the consulate. Instead, I tried to solve my problems on my own. Remember, you are entitled to feel safe and free from harm while working in Hong Kong. Record any incidents. Take pictures of any physical injuries, write down or record a voice memo of exactly what happened as soon as possible. It is crucial that you provide evidence in order to substantiate any claims that you make in court. I just wanted to get through my contract so I could change employers without having a problem on my record. If I complained, a future employer or agency might think I'm a troublemaker and might make it hard for me to get more work. Besides, even with these problems, the situation was still better than other places I had worked. Remember, if you don't report or record your employer's illegal behavior, then it is very likely that they will continue to abuse future workers that they employ. I saw the news stories about workers like Ariana who were beaten badly by their employers, or Baby Jane, who was fired when she got sick. But my situation wasn't that serious, so I didn't feel that complaining to my employer or going behind their back to an NGO or even to the consulate was worth it. Remember, you have the right to question your employer if you are being mistreated. You should tell your employer when you feel that something is not right and request that they change it. By voicing your criticism and standing up to them in a calm yet confident way, they will understand your opinion more than if you stay silent. I didn't have a key to the house to leave when I wanted, and even though I had a phone, I wasn't allowed to use it during the day when my boss lady was in the house working. By the time I could make a call, it was too late to speak to my family back home anyway. Remember, you have the right to freedom of movement, as well as the freedom to speak to your family or practice your religion. You should raise issues respectfully with your employer and record what the reaction is. The job was hard, but the money was good. I came here to work and send money back to my family. My employer gave me a loan to help repay the cost of coming to Hong Kong, which is another reason I didn't want to have any trouble with them. Remember, don't borrow money from your employer or any loan company connected to the employment agency, since that could be used to pressure you into working under bad conditions. When I became aware of my rights and talked to my friends on our day off, I realized that I wasn't alone, that I had a support network to turn to. I also became aware of the limits of my job and what my employer can and cannot ask of me. I see now that only if we all stand up together can we improve our working conditions. Remember, chronicle your day-to-day schedule and take advantage of the resources that are out there that are designed to help you at consulates, unions, or local groups.